With Pennsylvania in a financial crisis, how would you be able to address the increasing cost of running the state without raising taxes?
Well, that's a good question. I think if we look at the issue of increasing cost of state government, we have to understand, first of all, that the state is today, as we're speaking right now, insolvent. That means that our obligations, our debt obligations, exceed our ability to raise taxes, frankly, to pay for them. Now, the state is not bankrupt. We're on the brink of bankruptcy because of what this governor and the last many budgets have done for the state. But we're not yet bankrupt, but we are in a very, very difficult position. There's an assumption that the governor has made that this state must always continue to grow. When he came in, the state was spending $20 billion. His goal was to exit spending $30 billion. That's just out of the question. The increasing cost of government, therefore, as the question laid out, is really perhaps not really the question. The governor has said that we can't help ourselves, that everything that we spend is a mandate by the federal government. Absolutely and totally not true. Now, the fact of the matter is, when we talk about where we are as a state, we got to understand that we are $4 billion, as we speak right now, structural deficit out of whack. The budget's $28 billion, revenue is coming in at $24 billion. We have a $2.5 billion, as we speak, debt to the federal government for unemployment compensation borrowing. We have a approximately $8 billion pension obligation that's coming up as we are moving forward. We have a $800 million bill that's got to be paid back to the Doctors' Retention Fund, which the governor took, I think, illegally. In the last budget season, the court has ruled it's got to be paid back. It's got to be paid back. $800 million in borrowing that the governor did last December. Short-term borrowing in order to pay cash flow, pay the state's bills because the cash flow is down so low. That also has to be paid back. These are just some of the financial constraints and obligations that are on us as a Commonwealth. Now, the question is, how do we address this kind of a circumstance when we are literally, as I said, insolvent, about 2 years behind what California is right now? We only have two options: raise taxes, or two, decrease spending. I have said, first candidate to say, I will not sign a tax increase bill to meet the budgetary obligations of this Commonwealth. We will reduce our spending in the Commonwealth just like every business has had to do in this Commonwealth, and just as every one of you who are watching this today have had to do. Is it possible to do? I'm saying it's not possible not to do it unless we are down on our knees and we ask for a bailout from the federal government, which this governor seems to want to do, which if we do, we violate our Constitution, 10th Amendment, and we destroy state sovereignty. So therefore we have no option, in my opinion. Now, where do you go to reduce that kind of spending? Can we do it? The answer is yes, we can. On the general fund, we have about a 10 to 12% reduction that we have to achieve. That would bring it back into balance. Can that be done? The answer is yes, it can. We have to go where we spend the most money because that's where we achieve the most gain. We have to go to three categories: welfare, education, and corrections. Together, these three total about $21 billion out of our $28 billion budget. Those three categories received no reduction in the last couple of years. We can go there. Welfare, we treat one way. Basically, you start with enforcing the law to make sure that those who request services actually, according to the law, deserve them. We can save almost billions in this category alone. Education, you treat a little bit differently because it's a different issue. Corrections, you treat a little bit differently as well. I would step into corrections as an example and say, we're going to take those areas where people are there due to non-violent offenses. They don't need to be there. Get them out of there. Put them in programs like Justice and Mercy, prison ministries type of program where they can actually step in, rehabilitate these people so that they can get back with their families, get back in their homes, become a productive citizen again, get them off of the role where the taxpayer is having to pay to keep them incarcerated. Get them back into the community. So every one of these three have different approaches for reducing the cost within them. But reduce the cost we can, reduce the spending we must.